Hello, everyone. Welcome to this edition of Going to Bat with Team Irie. This is episode number 35. If you want to watch some of the other episodes that we've done before now, you can scroll down the Facebook page here and watch some of those. If you're interested in some of the upcoming interviews, you can do that by keeping an eye on our foundation page here. We usually post that the day of or the day before, unless we have a surprise like today, and you never know. And then also, if you're looking to donate to the foundation, which we raise money for spinal cord injury research and also baseball and softball high school scholarships, you can look at our website, which is dif35.org. Tonight's special guest, and we've been working on this for a while, is Albie Pearson, 1958 Rookie of the Year, 1963 All-Star. How you doing, Albie?
Hey, there's Fiery Irie. David, good to see you.
Hey, it's good to see you too, Albie. And this worked out pretty simple, and I'm so excited to have you on here. And we're using a mobile device or phone for the first time to do this, and it's looking great and everything. So, Albie, if you don't care, could you tell us a little bit about yourself? I mean, you went up through the minor leagues and finally got the call, but you played a little minor league ball. How long were you in the minor leagues?
Well, I was in the minor leagues for 5 years, David, and they meant well, but they told me to go back and have a good year. And at 138 pounds and 5'5", I was. What can I say? I was always looking up at belly buttons, and they were telling me to go back and have a good year. But so I spent 5 years in the minors, and something happened, and I was in the Texas League, and I was having a really good year. And the general manager later on, I'm trying to remember his name, probably one of the most famous of the Dodgers. He was scouting, and the scouts were there in Fort Worth, Texas. We're playing the Fort Worth Cats, and they were talking about myself and saying, "Look, but he's so small. He's so small. We don't think he can cut the mustard in the big leagues." And so the general manager, you'd know his name, and forgive me, well, you wouldn't because you're too young. But he said, "Look, why don't we just all close our eyes? He's coming up the plate, and just hear what it sounds like off the ball off his bat." And I think I hit 370 something that year in the minor leagues, and got my shot. I'm going to play in the big leagues. And then they told me to go back and have another year. But I'm not complaining at all. But looking up and seeing belly buttons all your life, it's a little bit difficult.
Yeah, I'd say it would be. And then, you got the call. What was it like when you finally got the call that you were going to the major leagues?
Well, it's an interesting thing, and this is really, really something. Obviously, it's a true story, but I just finished my 5th year with the San Francisco Seals. The next year, they became the San Francisco Giants. So we were the last year in what we call the Pacific Coast League. And I had another stellar year. We won the pennant, and I've got a growing family, and I said, so I'm not getting a break at all. I was an all-star in every place I played, and in the minors. And I remember this, Dave, is really interesting. I remember sitting down, and I started to pray. And I said, "Lord, I've done everything I can. I need some divine intervention. I believe that you allowed me to play this game because that's you, and you know how much I loved it. But I need a sovereign divine break. Help me." And it's 24 hours later, David, I got a telegram from the Boston Red Sox. The phone rang, and I went over to the phone, and they said, Mr. Pearson, is this Albie Pearson? I said, yes, it is. He said, we have a telegram for you from the Boston Red Sox. And I said, would you like to have it sent over to you? Or would you like to have us read it to you right now? And I said, are you kidding? Read it. It says, Dear Albie, we want to inform you that you have been traded from the Boston Red Sox to the Washington Senators. Good luck and best wishes. It was 24 hours after I prayed.
Wow.
Wow.
That is great. And when you went to Washington, playing for Seattle, right off the bat, I mean, you were the rookie of the year. I mean, how exciting was that?
Well, it didn't go as smoothly as that. So I was traded for Pete Runnels, who had led the American League in hitting, along with myself, a first baseman named Norm Zauchin from the Red Sox. It was a 2-for-1 trade. And of course, Norm and myself is coming over from the Red Sox. And I started out like a house of fire. I was hitting very well. And then they started throwing me breaking balls and off-speed stuff. And so I go into Red Sox, and they traded me now, and I want to really grind for Washington and prove that whatever they did was good for me and bad for them.
Yep.
But anyway, this is where I bring in the greatest hitter of that time, Ted Williams, into the picture, if I can. We were in Fenway Park, and I had, like I said, I was a fastball hitter, to say the least. I don't care where it was, I could hit it. But I go 0 for 20 or something, and my batting average is going to nothing. And because of my lack of size, there's always someone behind you. And at that time, it was Bobby Allison. Bobby was the rookie of the year after me, and when I was traded. And he was 6'4", 225, and he was an outstanding running back, I think, for Kansas State. And he's in the minor leagues as a center fielder. Well, when I found out all this, all of a sudden the pressure comes on. And so I'm taking batting practice in Fenway Park. And down the left field line, if those who've never been there, they've got what they call the Green Monster. But right next to the Green Monster, there's a large door. And if you go in there, you can see the tractor and the stuff like that. And I take my rips, and I hear a whistle like this, and I'm looking. Here it comes again. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking down the corner into that little window, that big door, just to the left of the Green Monster. Those that have been there can remember this. And I look down the line, and I see this hand coming out from the door. And he's whistling, and he gives me this, and it's Ted Williams. So I go down there, and he's 30. Let's see, I think he was 39 at the time. And he was the best hitter I've ever seen, up and still is. But you'd have to bring in, to my opinion, you'd have to bring in the last few years of Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds was something. Is an amazing hitter. But up to that time, Ted Williams was the primo guy. I think he averaged 350 for I don't know how many years or something. We'll have to check that out. So I see him giving me the hand, David, and I go down. I pick up my glove, and I go into this room, this door area, and there he is. Ted was called the Splinted Splinter, but he was no more Splinter. He was about 230 and about 6'4". And he was my hero. I was born and raised in Southern Cal, and he was a San Diego kid. And So I came in there, and now I'm looking at, to my opinion, was the greatest hitter I've ever seen. And he looked down at me and he said, little man, he said, how you doing? I said, well, sir, I'm having a little bit of struggle. He said, what are you struggling with? And he says, well, he said, you don't have to tell me. What do you like to hit? What ball do you like to drive? And I said, I like the fastball. I don't care where it is, just like it. And he says, how many of those you're getting lately? And I said, the only fastballs I'm getting now is underneath my chin or off the plate. I have nothing to hit. And he said, I tell you what, today. Now remember, now we're in a live game with the Red Sox. And you know what? His pitchers really didn't like him very much because I remember Al Kaline going in there one year and slumping, and he left the place, tearing up the league, and was ended up, I think, a batting champion. So he says to me, this is Teddy. He said, I tell you what, today, I want you to spit on every fastball you see. This is the way he told me. And he said, I want you to look for breaking balls, anything breaking, sliders, and anything off speed. And he said, you just spit on that fastball. And I'm thinking, okay, hey, and he says, now remember, spit on the fastball. And so I leave that little, you'll see it, those that have been in Fenway Park, you can go online and see that little door down that line, or that big door. And so we start the ball game, David, and I'm leading off for the LA Angels, Washington Senators at the time. And the first pitch I see, of course, I'm trying to get on base. That's my job anyway. And to get the hole open at first base between first and second. And many times, if you can get a pitcher working from the stretch, you not only got a shot to steal a base, but not all pitchers have the same leverage and velocity from the stretch as they do from the windup. Nowadays, the kids today are so much bigger and stronger and better than we were. They just simply are. And they've learned from all of our mistakes. The way I would spot a pitcher and try to pick his move up, I would look through the hole in my baseball cap to try to isolate him. That's the way we did it. But nowadays, David, you got a full situation right behind your dugout. You can go and see your last at bat, but not then. Everything was trial and error for us. And so the first pitch of fastball, I take it down the middle of the plate. Next pitch, I'm going to do what he wants me to do. So I'm looking for something breaking, and I got a breaking ball, and it was a good one, but I was looking for it. It was out over the plate, and I just hammered it into right center field for a double. And I'm rounding first. I go into second base, and I'm looking out to left field where Ted was, and he gives me the thumb.
Yeah.
Nice going. And that day, I remember, I think I doubled, singled twice, drove in 3, and scored 2, and we beat them. And I'm running out to left field, and they're coming to get him in a caddy late in the ball game. I don't know. It was his last at bat or something. But anyway, we pass each other, and he says to me, "That away, little man, that away." Ted Williams. Anyway, that's a true story, obviously, but he oftentimes would get players that would come into Boston. He'd get them out of slumps. I went on to be, I think, player of the week or month in Sports Illustrated. I went into Baltimore and just ate their lunch and just had, and I ended up being American League Rookie of the Year. But with that tip, that was the key.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. And then didn't some of the pitchers, like for Boston, didn't they kind of get mad at Ted for helping the batters out?
Oh, oh man, there was a silent war.
Yeah.
But it seems like I don't know if he would do this if they're in a pennant fight, but I guarantee um, the pitchers they were really upset with him. Uh, uh, but anyway, that's a true story, and he was just obviously he said to me, and I need to digress on this story, and he said. He said, you know what? There's only one Ted Williams. He said this to me. He says, you're not him. And I said, I know that, sir. And I says, but he said to me, he says, you get the bat on the ball as good as anybody in this league. And I want you to know that just don't give up and bust your hump and work hard. And that was my first trip into Fenway Park with the great Ted Williams.
That's
Yes,
pretty awesome. And I also know that you were telling me one day when you were younger, you were playing in your backyard and you took some of your mother's pillows, and you was talking about hitting a home run, and you
yeah.
dreaming that it was in the World Series, but later on something like that almost came true, didn't it?
Well, it actually happened, except it wasn't in a World Series. And the story was simply, David, I was in the back. I think maybe I was 7, and I had 3 buddies on the street, and they were all about the same age, around right at 7. It's just before the Second World War started, so this would be in 1941. And I was in the backyard, and I did something you might not recommend for anybody, but I took my mom's satin pillows off the bed. They were decorative pillows, and I made bases out of them in my backyard. By the way, to say the least, she was a little bit upset. And then I remember measuring a cardboard home plate, David. It was 17 inches, of course, the plate is 17 inches wide. And I had measured it down at the park when I went down there with Dad. And I remember, even as a little kid, taking my bat and hitting balls straight up in the air, and then picking up my glove and catching them. And I had tremendous hand-eye coordination, to say the least. So picture that, hitting balls up in the air, picking up your glove, and then catching them. Anyway, I'm in the backyard, and we're playing in the World Series. And according to the announcer,
Yeah,
I was the announcer.
there you go.
In fact, I was the only one in the backyard. And I had the ball field lined up in the backyard. And so the announcer said, coming to the plate is my Albie Pearson, and on the mound for the Yankees, 6'8" somebody I don't know at that time, and we're playing in the 7th game of the World Series, according to the announcer. Well, each team had won 3 ball games, and we were in the 9th, and I'm up to the plate. There's 2 out, and the bases are jammed, and we're behind 3-0. And I bet you couldn't guess what just about happened, according to the announcer. Well,
You were coming to the plate, and
I was coming, and I didn't point. But I just crushed the ball deep into the bleachers. And we win the World Series, and I'm running the bases. And by the way, I just digress a little bit. At 12 years old, I was 64 pounds.
wow.
And I was 4'4". And now I'm 7, and I'm even much smaller. And everybody in the block at my age was, here's one guy, and then there's me. Anyway, I just crushed this, and I'm rounding the bases, fighting off my teammates with a great deal of humility, saying, hey, it's nothing, guys. And they're pounding me on the back, and the whole place is going nuts. And I'm the announcer. I'm the only one in the backyard. Well, I'm rounding the bases, David. And I hit home plate, and they're just beating me up. We win it all. And something happened. I'm jumped in the middle of this cardboard home plate, and I hear a voice in my inner man. I could just hear it. And here's what it said. I want you to play on my team. Actually, I heard the Lord speak to my heart at 7 years old, saying to me, I want you to play on my team. And I said, yeah, I'll do that. Let's do that. I'd like to finish the story, and I will. I go out in the front yard, and because of my hand-eye coordination, I was really a good marble player. My three buddies and I were in a marble game. We went out in the front, and we started playing marbles. As we're playing marbles, I'm just raking in everything, and they were really upset. They were upset with me most of the time because my hand-eye coordination just allowed me to be pretty tough in marbles. And so I'm winning the marble game like crazy, and my buddies they were pretty hot at me, and I finally won the marble game, and I said, "Hey guys, listen, I was in the backyard a little while ago, and I heard God speak to my heart, and He said He wanted me to play on my team. So would you guys sit on the curb because I'm going to preach?" This is crazy, I know, the most. And so, so they said, "We don't want to listen to you. Let's play on more marbles." And I said, "Well, look, the colloquialism at the time wasn't give me a break, but close to that." And I said, "Well, I'll make it quick." And they says, "Well, you make it quick because we want to play marbles, not listen to you." And I said, "Okay." So I remember when I was going to church as a little boy, if you remembered your Bible verses, you'd get a star after your name. Then at the end of the month, the person with the most stars would get an ice cream sundae or banana split. So to be honest with you, I was more concerned with winning than I was than I was about my Bible verses. But after this call in my heart, I'm thinking, okay, so I said, sit on the curb. And they said, we don't want to sit. And I said, well, just a couple of minutes. So I got out my finger because our minister at the time preached with his finger a lot. So I said, well, that must be where it's at. So I began to do this. Well, it wasn't too long that they said, okay, that's enough. We don't want to listen to you anymore. And I said, well, I spoke the truth right from the Bible. They said, we don't care what you did. We don't want to listen to you anymore. So being full of love, we had a fight. And oh man, my grandfather had 100 professional fights. He was a bantamweight. My grandfather, he fought 3 world champions, but he worked full time for the Pacific Electric in East LA. But he would train all the time, and then he would get fights on the weekends and stuff. And they weren't paying too much, but if you really fought back during then, they would throw change in the rings. And so that's where he would anyway, he taught me how to box. And so here's my buddies. And so there was a shove and another shove, and I had my marbles in a double-sized Pond's cold cream jar, which my mom gave me. It was a cold cream jar, and I had my steelies and agates. I had all my stuff in it. But reason I bring out my fighting, my grandfather taught me how to box when I was a little kid. He said, you jab, slip, throw your left hook and your right cross, And I said, okay. And so I remember him when I was a little boy, about this time, he would take a handkerchief. He'd put it on the ground and kneel in it. And he said, now, Baby Al, call me Baby Al. He said, I want you to hit me. And I said, Grandpa, I don't want to hit you. He said, just go ahead and do jab, slip, throw your left hook and your right cross. And I said, okay. And so I would do what he told me to do, but he moved his head just slightly. I couldn't hit him with a handful of buckshot. He was so good. Anyway, back to this fight. So all of a sudden, we're in a 3 against 1. My 3 buds and they're all bigger than I, and we're in a fight. And so I stand up and I get a shove, and somebody hit me with my cold cream jar in the mouth. I still got a scar here, I think, and
Wow.
knocked out my tooth, baby tooth, right here. Knocked it out, and had my two big front teeth, but that little one had not come in yet. And oh my gosh, I'm just. And you look. By the way, if you've ever been in a fight, you look really good until you get hit.
Yeah.
Then anything works. You're swinging, you're fighting, kicking, whatever. Well, anyway, I proceeded to get flushed with this cold cream jar, and my tooth knocked out. Uh, I got a cut on my lip. I begin to bleed from my nose. I get hammered, and I got a cut over my left eye. And man, and I am really getting hammered. And their mothers on the block, my mom included, but their mothers, I could hear them say, "Junior, get in here, get in here." And so all the kids leave me and they go back home. And I'm left there with I'm crying, I'm bleeding, my fists are doubled up, and I hear my mother call me. She said, "Albert Gregory, get in here." And I walked in the back door, and she ran and got some ice and got me cleaned up my face and my nosebleeds and my cut, and then she put a Band-Aid over my cut lip to try to close it. She said, "Son," "what's going on?" She says, "Mom, I was preaching because I was in the backyard just a little while ago, and I heard God speak inside, and he said he wanted me to play on his team. So I was quoting the Bible verses I learned, and but we had a fight, my buddies, and I said, "But Mom, I won the fight." She said, "Son, you lost the fight." I said, "I did not, Mom. Don't look at what you see, because the rules on the block say if you're left standing, then you're the winner. And I was the last one standing. So I won, Mom. I won." And she said, "Son, you might have won the fight, but you lost the war." I didn't understand. She looked at me as all cleaned up. She had me cleaned up. And we went into the front room in a little tiny house, about 600 feet, 650 feet, and in El Monte, California. I even remember the address, 824 Granada. Now we're talking 70, let's see, I'm 80, I'll be 86 here shortly. And so we're talking about 79 years ago. But you know, things, David, down through your years, I can remember, I played 1,000 major league games maybe, and maybe another 700 in the minor leagues, but I remember very few things. I remember the All-Star game, that was fun. And remember when we were fighting the Yankees for the pennant, we were the fledgling Angels, the second year. We were playing in Dodger Stadium, and we were in first place going into September. And there was no playoffs at the time. You went from American, National, World Series. But anyway, she called me in the front room. She said, "Son, sit down." And she opened up. We had a big family Bible sitting on a coffee table in the front room. It had an artist's conception of the Lord on the cover, and everything that Jesus spoke was in red letters. Now, I couldn't read a whole lot back then. Hey, my grandkids, my great grandkids, I have 28 great grandchildren and 28 grandchildren. Hey, they're reading off the computer and playing games at 4.
Yeah.
But back then, we were just learning how to cursive write and learning our ABCs, and it was a different era. So my mom and I walked in the front room. We sat down together, and she said, "Son, I want you to see something." So her hands turned to the red letters. Now I know who said the red letters, and if the red letters are spoken in about, that's it. I was a red letter man, even as a little kid. Whatever Jesus said, that's it.
Yeah.
And her hands went to John 13:35. And it says this: by this shall all men know that you are my disciples, if you have love one to another. She looked at me. She said, son, she said, did you love them? I said, Mom, give me a break, whatever it said. I said, how can you love when you're fighting? You're trying to defend yourself. How can you love? She got up from this tape. She was, let's see, my mom was at that time, she was 25. She got up from the table, walked back in the kitchen, never said a word to me. But that scripture had rung in my heart all the time about the love of God. And the true disciples of the Lord were those that were forgiving and could love and all that. Well, I was such a competitor that didn't fit for me very good down through the years because as a professional baseball player, I had to run through a wall to prove my manhood, especially at 138 pounds.
Yeah.
At 5'5". But anyway, David, what happened is that it was 16 years later, I find myself in the major leagues.
Yeah.
And I'm remembering, I didn't remember anything about the hitting, or playing in the big leagues, but I do remember Yogi Berra. I was in Yankee Stadium the first time, and I just won the National Baseball Players Golf Championship in Florida my first year in the big. In fact, I hadn't even played a big league game, but because I was signed with Washington, I was allowed to play in the national championship. Mickey Mantle played in it, Yogi, and different ones, and then all the either as a manager or a coach or a major league player that only allowed you to play, in which I'd won it. And I'd won it in a sudden death playoff with a big right-hand pitcher named Johnny Gray on a 19th hole. That's, by the way, that's in Life magazine of 58, if you wanted to see that. But anyway, I've stepped into the batter's box, first time in Yankee Stadium. And I'm nervous, to say the least. And Yogi is behind the plate. And he's saying, hey, little man, congratulations on winning the national tournament. And I said, thank you, Yogi. And he's just talking. That's what he does. Yeah. And he says, by the way, you ready to play? And I said, yes, I am. And so Whitey Ford's pitching. And he throws me I remember getting a pitch to hit, and before then, I'm sorry, this is so long ago. I get pieces, so everybody's listening. Bear with me. I'm going with So anyway, David, I find myself, and the first pitch from Ford, the umpire says low. It's ball. That's what he said. It's ball. It's low. And Yogi says low. He said, where are you going to pitch him low? He's the only guy in this league that hits out of a ditch. He never turned around, but he said, this guy hits out of a ditch. Well, it was a big laugh, but anyway. But the story I told you took place when I was with the LA Angels. We were playing the Yankees in Yankee Stadium, and I can remember coming to the plate. I'd been traded from the Washington Senators to the Baltimore Orioles, and then when the LA Angels were formed, I was part of that. In fact, I scored the first run ever with the Angels. Yeah. So I'm this. I don't know if this is fun for anybody else, but it's sure fun for me to bring back memories.
Oh, it's fun for me too.
Anyway, David. So I'm coming out to plate, and I think I'm facing Ford again. I think I'd hit 3 home runs off of him, which is unusual because he was a very, very tough, good left-hander. He was tremendous. But it always seems that there's certain guys that some guy could throw his glove out on the mound. He couldn't get anybody else out, but get you out. But Ford, he seemed to hang a curveball or get something out over the plate. And I remember hitting, I think, 3 home runs off of him. And that's a lot for me because I didn't hit many. And he, I don't know, he hung me something and I just hammered it deep in right field. And I'm rounding the bases. And my teammates are at home plate. And I turn first and I get into second. And as I turn second base, I'm just trotting. And I look up, and if I can use Yogi's term, it was deja vu all over again.
Yeah.
What I had done in my backyard, although I wasn't in the World Series, but I had homered. And I remember making a super catch near the monuments off of Mickey Mantle in the ninth. It was 460 feet. And I made a play on him. I was so deep out there, and he yelled at me. He said, "Why don't you get in the ballpark, you little SOB?" What I'd done, I was playing him deep because he had, guys on base, and I can't let somebody hit over my head.
Yeah.
And our gloves then, I wish I had a glove then as they do now. They're big, they're big. And ours my glove was it was an A2000. It had by Wilson. My contract was Wilson. But compared to the outfield, it looked like a little second base glove, but we were playing center field. And I made a play. I just took off, ran, and it stuck in my glove, and that was it. But when I'm rounding the bases, I'm looking up and I'm thinking, there's my teammates. And all of a sudden, my backyard. And I had just fulfilled a boyhood dream.
Yeah.
5'5", 138 pounds. And I just hit the home run, just like in my backyard. My teammates pounded me on the back, and it was a real special time. But I found myself saying, where are the zingers? I just grabbed the brass ring. Where are the zingers that's got to be with this? Because baseball, like any other sport, it's what have you done for me lately?
Yeah.
And I wish it weren't that way, but that's the way it is. You perform, and you don't perform, you lose your job.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's something that I might turn to it right now, if I could.
Yeah.
I have a picture here. I got that one of Willie. There's Willie. Willie
There
and
you
me.
go. That's a nice picture.
And
Albie and Willie.
And there's drag button in Dodger Stadium. I hope you don't see that one.
Yeah.
Anyway, here is we were Players of the Year. Sandy Koufax and myself. There's Sandy. There's myself.
Wow.
We were the Players of the Year for the
That's
Angels
cool.
and the Dodgers. The guy in the middle is a guy named Phil Silvers. He was a comedian, and there's Sandy. Look how handsome he is. And then myself. Anyway, I don't know what they can see. Anyway, but there's a story here, real quick, if I can share it. I'm looking down. When I was thinking about this, I have a picture here. Bear with me if I can.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine.
I'm looking down off the thing, but I have a.
What people didn't realize, Albie, was back then the statues were in play in the field at Yankee Stadium, right?
That's exactly right. They were in play, and here's a shot of the singing Senators. There's Tex Clevenger and let's see, Jimmy Lemon, Roy Sievers, and myself, and we're singing. But we were called the Singing Senators. There's a picture of it.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if you can see it or not.
Yeah, you might want to hold it towards you a little bit. Pull back off of it a little bit. Yeah, like that. There you go.
There's
Yeah,
the singing
like that.
senators.
Yep. Yep, we can see it.
That was something. And please, I'm trying to find this picture of. I have a picture of Marilyn Monroe and myself.
Yeah, I was going to mention that you were the last person to be seen in public with her, right?
That's correct. And I'm looking for that picture. I have.
By the way, Nancy Gully says great pictures. Tourists looks like Gunnar Sendo or something. I can't really see it on here. Gunnar Sendo says hi, Albie. Nice to see you. God bless you. So different people's commenting on here.
Oh, here's my sweetie and I. That's the first game ever in Los Angeles with the Angels, and there's myself and my beautiful bride, and we've been married 66 years. Can you see that picture?
Oh yeah, I can see it good. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me think.
Yeah, that's really great. Now, that was pretty cool knowing that you scored the first run in Angels history.
Yes. Hold on.
Okay.
I don't know. Hey, hey, David. Here's a picture. It's on the back of my singing album, but
Yeah. Yep.
there's a picture of Marilyn Monroe and myself.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I can see that.
Can you see it? I've
Yep,
got a
sure
bigger and back. Then you see Sandy Koufax below that. Can you see the
Yeah.
picture all right?
Yes, I can see it good. And you can also Google that on you can Google it on the internet and punch up Albie Pearson and Marilyn Monroe and see that picture.
Okay, good. Let me just explain that picture. Let me show you another, my favorite. This is one of my favorite guys ever. He was my roommate. His name is Ted Kluszewski.
Yep, the big clue.
Yeah, you see the picture?
Oh yeah, that's a good picture.
Anyway, we were teammates with the Angels.
Yeah.
And I remembered. Well, I'm all over the lot now. I got a story about Teddy and then Marilyn Monroe, but let me just share this. We were playing on June 1st, because I remember it clearly, June 1st, 1962. Gene Autry was our owner, and he had sold to our PR guy. He said, my PR man came down, and they said, Uncle, I call him Uncle Gene. I said, Uncle Gene would ask if you would escort the hostess for multiple sclerosis tonight. And I said, well, sure. I said, who is it? And he said, well, it's Marilyn Monroe. And I said, man, I'd love to see her. I'd love to meet her. And my wife's in the stands. By the way, she had three sets of binoculars given to her pretty quick. But I said, I'd love to meet her. And I said, what am I supposed to do? And they said, well, we were playing 8:00 games now. They play at 7 now. Play at 8:00. And for 4 years, we leased Dodger Stadium. The Angels did. And so June 1st, 62, found myself escorting Marilyn Monroe. But before I did, I was in the dugout. At that time, Dodger Stadium had what we call a dugout box. It was right in line with both dugouts. It was some premium seats in there, and so about 10 minutes to 8 or so, I went down the dugout area and I stuck my hand out, and I said, oh, I think she was brought in by Joe DiMaggio. It was a Yankee series. They were divorced at the time, but yeah, I think he was there anyway. And she came down, and I stuck out my hand to Miss Monroe, and I said, good evening, Miss Monroe. My name's Albie Pearson, and I'm the center fielder for the LA Angels. On their behalf, I welcome you. She looked at me. She said, oh, yes, I've seen you play. And I got a shock, David, and all those that are watching. She never smiled once. She never
Wow.
talked in her giddy voice once when I was down with her. Never did anything like that. And she looked at me, and in my mind, in my heart, was rolling Bible verses right in front of her about the love of God. It was just how much he loved her, and it was really weird. But I'm getting downloaded in front of this lady, very famous lady. She had everything that she had wanted in life, but she was really, really empty inside, searching. I use that term because we're all that way, David.
Yeah.
Because you know why? It's a God-shaped void that all of us have until it's filled by the only one who can fill it, God.
Yep.
She looked at me, and these verses are flying through my mind, and I'm saying nothing, and I get the watch from the PR guy. Says it's time. So I said, Miss Monroe, it's time to go on the field. So she grabbed my arm, and as soon as we hit the area where tens of thousands of people, in fact, that night we was not unusual to have 50,000 in the stadium not with the Dodgers, but with the Angels. But the only team that really drew was the rest of us. The rest of the teams wouldn't draw very much.
Yeah.
But I went out. As soon as we hit the area where the picture I just showed you, if you saw it, she turned on.
Wow.
And the world saw the smile, the giddy voice, the wiggle, just like I showed you. We went out to the mic, out to home plate. There was a microphone set up on home plate. Mm-hmm. Well, she took the mic and she breathed in it a few times and gave her pitch for multiple sclerosis, and well done. And my job was to take her out there, and I had an envelope. By the way, the whole box office receipts, one game a year, Uncle Gene would give to a charity there. And so obviously we didn't know how much was going to be in it, but it was just kind of a show. And but I think it was multiple sclerosis. If I'm not mistaken. It could have been cerebral palsy, but I think it was multiple sclerosis, David. And she gave her pitch. You tell me when we're done here.
Oh, you talk as long as you want to.
Yeah. Well, I guess you can fix it up or something. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can.
So how was Marilyn Monroe? I mean, that'd be a thrill to bring her out on the field, but she passed away just a little bit after that, right?
Yeah, that was the key to me, and it really well. I'll just explain it. Took her out in the field. She breathed in a few times, and she gave her pitch, and smiling and laughing and waving, and then I gave her this envelope, which was blank, of course, but is going to be filled in for over 50,000 people. Yeah. So it was a good thing for cerebral or whatever it was at the time.
Yeah.
Multiple sclerosis. I took her off the field. As soon as we hit the area where nobody could see her, but just very few and myself, she turned around and looked at me. And she was saying this, "What is it you're trying to tell me?" And I didn't want her to think I was some religious nut. I didn't want I just wasn't into that. Yeah. And so I stuttered, didn't say anything, shook her hand goodbye, and headed out towards playing another national anthem, which, gosh, how many 1,700 ball games, including the minors, did that 1,700 times or more, not including all kinds of exhibition stuff. And I just forgot about it until about 5 or 6 weeks later. We were in Baltimore playing the Orioles. It was actually the date of her death was August 5th. So you had June, July, about 9 weeks later, 8 weeks or so. And I opened up a newspaper, and we had a day game, I think against Baltimore. I'm not sure, but anyway, I remember ordering up steak and eggs in the newspaper, and I'm opening the newspaper, and I see where she took her life. There's a lot of conspiracy theories about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when she did, David, it just hit me. It's hard to explain what I felt because I was the last one to see her publicly, and then she was just consumed with drugs and alcohol, and when I opened the newspaper and looked and saw where she took her life, it kind of went like this for me. Okay, does that make any sense?
It does.
And I'm on the bed, and I look up, and I said, God, I know about you, but I don't know you. Set me free from me. I remember getting off the bed, and I'm thinking, I was emotionally hit very hard. Went down on my knees, and I said, every sin of commission and omission and failures and stuff, I just began to burp out. And it felt like 1,000 pounds was lifted off my life. But my life began to shift a little bit. It's hard to explain. Although I love baseball, and I still do. I remember I would be willing to run into a wall to prove my manhood.
Yeah.
But this is something you can't run into a wall. You face it. And anyway, to finish the story, David, I played another let's see, what that 62, another 5 year. My last year was 66, and I had a spinal injury, fourth and fifth lumbar area, and I was done quickly. That's a whole story in itself.
Yeah.
But David, I found out that knock on the door in my backyard 79 years ago took place. Because after my career was over, my passion was people, young people. I was ordained to the ministry in 72, and my whole life has been dedicated to be a blessing to people and to see them bring about hope. And there's a scripture in Philippians 4:13 that was in my heart for years as I played. Here's what it says. For I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Philippians 4:13. And so that's where we are today. And I'm an old man now, but my life has been freed up from
But you've started churches like in Russia and different places too, haven't you?
I have. I've been in Russia, and we've had works in Mexico, South America. My wife and I started a children's ranch in Desert Hot Springs. It's called Father's Heart Ranch. It's for neglected and abused little kids. And it's been my passion. And you know what? I am the biggest thrill I've ever had. Of course, there's been a few. I remember a Grand Slammer in Yankee Stadium. I can remember the story I told you, and the All-Star game was really important. But nothing is more fulfilling than to see one broken life given hope and restored.
Where can people donate to your cause? Where can they go for your ranch? Do they find that on the internet?
They can, but what we're trying to do is do some more of them. And so if anybody, David, I really am, I'm really not into, I'm willing, but if they wanted to donate, they could donate to United Ministries International. United Ministries International.
Gotcha.
And the post office box is Post Office Box 1753, Bentonville, Arkansas.
Gotcha. What's the
727
zip code?
72714.
Gotcha.
But David, this is not my. If people would want to bless me and bless the work, that would be fine. But I'm really here for you today.
I
And
appreciate that. And, you know, you told me some great stories on the Big Clue. Now, you used
oh,
to be his roommate.
I did. You know what? I want to re-show that picture if I can.
Yeah.
There he is.
Yeah.
One of the biggest and toughest and softest hearted guys I've ever known. He was a big teddy bear. But boy, when he
And he
give
always
you a
had his
look,
sleeves, and he always had his sleeves tore off.
well, I don't know if you can see the one
Yeah.
sleeve on the
Yeah.
arm, but literally that wasn't a joke. His arms were so big that he struggled wearing a normal baseball uniform. And of course, he started the Cincinnati Reds cutoffs.
Yeah.
And he was absolutely, and when he took his shirt off, he's in the locker room. My gosh, you know what? He weighed about 260. But you know what? They had very little fat on him.
Yeah.
And a little story there that Teddy, I remember there's a couple of stories. We're the first year with the Angels, and we're playing the Orioles. And it's got to be 61, so Teddy's joining us, and we're roommates. And I remember coming up the plate and late in the ball game, and I had the tying or winning run on second base, and I got a ball to drive, and I popped it right straight up on the infield. And man, it's hard to even run down to first base hard, but I was running down so hard, I was so angry, because they traded me, put me in a draft from them into the New Angels, and so I'm back in the room. We come back in the room, Teddy and I, and he said, and I kicked over the trash can underneath the table, and where and I just kicked it hard. And he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I just kicked the can. I'm out of it. I'm so angry." He said, "Why? Because you popped up with the bases loaded?" No, it wasn't. Excuse me. He didn't say bases loaded. You popped up in a jam, and I said, "Yeah, I am. I'm mad." He said, "Well, you got to give it up, because if you don't, it's going to affect you next time you play." And I said, "Well, I don't care." He said, "Look in the mirror." I said, "I don't want to look in the mirror." He said, "Look in the mirror." And he looked at me with that look. And when the guy 260 and looks at you that way, you kind of say, "Okay, I'm looking in the mirror. What do you see?" I said, "I see myself." He said, "Ask yourself, did you do your best?" And I said, "I did." I said, "Well, go ahead, look in the mirror," he said to me. This is Teddy. "And tell yourself, did you do?" I said, "Yes, I did." And he said, "Are you going to start tomorrow against the Orioles in center field?" And I said, "Probably, yeah." He says, "You know what? You got a good chance to pop up tomorrow again. So let's go down and have dinner. I'll buy you dinner." And he says, "And if you keep messing with me," he said, "if you keep messing with me and that attitude you got," he says, "I'm going to put the beds together and you're going to sleep in a drawer." And Teddy was soft inside, but that look he gave you, you do what he wanted you to do. Anyway, he says, "Come on downstairs and I'll buy you dinner." And he says, "By the way, I'm going to order a couple of double Rob Roys." Now, that's a drink. It's a drink. I think it's got some kind of booze in it. And he loved double Rob Roys.
Yeah.
And he said, "And if I get under the table after we eat with these double Rob Roys, I need you there so someone could carry me back up to the room." I could just see myself carrying Teddy Tizgusi up the stairs to our room.
Yeah,
But that's a true story
exactly.
as well. Anyway,
Yeah,
oh, oh,
exactly. Now, who would be the toughest if you think back? Who was the toughest pitcher you ever faced?
um, uh, in the Freeway series, I didn't have a whole lot to do. We started the Freeway series way back now. The first game was, I think, in our first year, but I faced Sandy Koufax in the spring, and they would. I can remember Sandy Koufax, Don Drysdale, and Johnny Padres in that order. They would each would work 3 innings, and I didn't face Sandy a lot because only in the spring, but oh my goodness, um, he threw in the high 90s. He threw a four seamer, but he could spin the ball like nobody at the time. 6 to 12, he threw a what we call a big horn, and it would and the mounds at the time were 18 inches high. Now they're 12.
Wow.
And in Dodger Stadium, because of Drysdale and Koufax there and heavy air at night, it was a tough place to hit. But he would, and we played 4 years for there. But he would get on the mound. It wouldn't be 18 inches. That's what it's supposed to be. But they probably added an extra couple inches that mound. It was at least 20 inches high with Drysdale and Koufax, and he'd get on top of that breaking ball, and you get leverage on that four seamer, not from 10 inches, which it is today, but about 20 inches. And I tell you, if you didn't have a crowd, you could hear it rotate. You could spin.
Oh, wow.
But he could spin the ball, and what's so amazing? I remember talking to Duke Snyder when we were playing golf one day. Duke Snyder, and I said, Sandy had not made the big league. He had made the big leagues, but they couldn't use. He was off the roster at the time, and I said, "Well, how's it going?" And he said, "Well, you know, they were just moved into the Coliseum way back." And I said, well, "How's it going? You got what do you look like this?" And he said, "Albie," he said, "we got a kid that I don't even want to go into the batting cage with. First of all, he can't throw a strike, and I'm trying to hit up there, and half of me is there, and half of my fanny's outside the cage." And I said, "What's going on?" He said, "His name is Koufax." And he said, "I have never seen anything like this in my life." And he says, "And if he ever handles his control, he's going to be untouchable." Yeah. And I said, well, so the long story short, Sandy got to a place where he could locate his fastball. He didn't even have to, but he could locate his fastball. He could throw. I remember him working the outside corner. Sandy was not mean. He wasn't like Gibson or Early Wynn or Sam McDowell or the other guys that I had faced. But anyway, his location of the baseball was amazing, and his spinning the ball, rotating the ball was the best I've ever seen. So to answer your question, and I'm glad I didn't have to face him a whole lot, with Sandy Koufax.
That's pretty cool. And also, I listened to an interview the other day that you done with Jackie Robinson.
Oh yeah, Jackie Robinson. I tell you, he was a wonderful person. You know, he was from Pasadena, California, and I was from El Monte, California. It's about 7 miles apart, or 8 miles about. But anyway, Jackie, he asked me a question once, and that's how I got into the story. But I just want to honor Jackie right now.
Yeah.
He is a guy that took a lot of flack, but he has become, in my life, one of the most honorable men. Of course, he's gone. He's been gone a long time. Yeah. Yeah. But And he was doing the Jackie Robinson show, and he had me on as a Rookie of the Year, and it was really good. But it was fun. Is that what you're
Yeah.
talking about?
Yeah, and we could, if anybody wants to see that interview, they can go to YouTube and punch up Albie Pearson and Jackie Robinson and watch that interview. I watched it the other day, and also if you want to hear Albie sing a little bit, you can go on there and listen to Albie sing too, because I done that the other day. But you were telling me one day about you just playing in Yankee Stadium and the grass was so tall and you didn't have to hardly move because
Oh
everybody,
yeah.
all three outs were right to you. You care to tell us a little bit about that?
Oh yeah. That was we had every ball club, if they're fortunate, has a guy that's got a great sense of humor, really lighthearted, and and has respect of his teammates. Well, the year that I went in, my first year into Yankee Stadium, we had a player just like that. His name was Rocky Bridges. You can look him up online. Rocky, Rocky had that. He was so much fun. In fact, I have to digress on Rocky just 1 second. We're playing the Detroit Tigers, and this is unbelievable, but it's a true story. I think who was pitching? I think it was Frank Larry, if I remember right. He went 25, I think, one of those years. He's on the mound, and Rocky's hitting eighth, and the pitcher's hitting ninth. We had no DH then, and I'm leading off. So as Rocky is hitting in the eighth slot, I am taking the pitcher's place in the batter circle because the pitcher doesn't get in the batter circle. So then the first leadoff hitter at that time would go in the batter circle. And Rocky's dug in, and Frank Larry, and for some reason Rocky thought he'd picked up something, but he was looking for breaking ball. Frank had a real spinner. He could really break it off, and he had a live fastball, but his breaking ball set up everything. I mean, it was really a horn, and but it had a 3/4 break on it, not like Sandy over the top, 6-12. It was more of a from 3/4, and Rocky's he's dug in, and for some reason he's frozen over the baseball, and he gets hit in the jaw. Now back then, the helmet, it would just sit on top of your head, really.
Yeah.
Top of your head. It was not. It was really kind of a show. Nowadays it's great. They got ears covered and all.
Yeah.
It gives you. But anyway, Rocky looking curveball or something, and he freezes, and he got hit in the jaw with a fastball. It broke him up so badly. His jaw was broken terribly, and he's on the ground. And he was one at chaw. He had a big chaw. He always had a big chaw. And I'm in the batter circle, and I tell you, the way it sounds, it's no fun when you get hit. The fastball, if you're throwing it 95, weighs 130 pounds. 5 inches, 9 inches around, five ounces, and when you multiply that, it can get up there. Anyway, when it hit him, he went down and his jaw was taken from his. I tell you, I just thank God it wasn't above his, just another half inch, because it would have killed him. It hit him in the temple.
Yeah.
But down he went, and he's on the ground, and I come out of the batter circle, and he's just grinding down there on the ground, and I can't. I'm trying to get his jaw out of his mouth because he was choking on it. So I'm reaching in, trying to get his jaw out, and he's conscious. This is his sense of humor. I'm getting his jaw, and I said, Rock, you okay? You with me? And he said, yeah. He said, but do you think this will ruin my movie career? Can you believe that?
Oh my goodness.
He ended up taking a tooth out because he loved to drink beer, and he kept drinking beer through a straw. until his jaw was. It was amazing. But this is the guy in our first trip. He's playing shortstop for Washington. I'm playing center. Jimmy Lemon is in right. I'm in center, and Roy Seaver's a tremendous hitter. Was in left field. Eddie Yost was our third baseman, and the walking man, and Clint Courtney, they call him Strap Iron, was our catcher, and so we go into Yankee Stadium, and bring your story up. For some reason, they had Yankee Stadium is primo, all but one spot. It's a little spot in the left center field where Mickey tore his leg up and was never the same. Joe DiMaggio, I think, was playing center that time, and when Mickey went into that hole, and he was never the same. But it's a drainage area, and they never had it filled perfectly. But the ballpark is immaculate. The grass. Well, we went in there, our first trip in, and I'm playing across from Mickey Mantle, and I'm looking at the monuments 461 feet away, and there's a who was Babe Ruth? No, they were inside the ballpark at the time.
Yeah,
they were 461 feet away, and I'm looking around, and I'm a little kid from Southern California, and my counterpart is the Mick himself. And so we start the ball game, and a storm had come through the stadium earlier, and they had not had a chance to really get the grass mowed down. So it was quite high, much higher than normal. And so the first batter up was, I think, Tony Kubek. Tony is leading off. He was an all-star. A tall shortstop, a very good player. You can look up all these guys online. They were world champions, and to say the least. Let's put it this way: the Washington Senators at the time were outmatched by the New York Yankees. They had Kubek and Berra and Skowron and Richardson, and they just had a lineup that would, they could beat you up. And we were outmatched. You know what we had? We had two Cuban pitchers and a midget center fielder. That was me. Anyway, so we were overmatched. But the first guy up was, and Rocky's playing shortstop for us, Rocky Bridges. And the first batter up is Kubek. So the normal thing is the guy steps in a batter's box, and you're looking around a little bit back then to check your defense to see, how they're defending you, and then you step in the batter's box. And so Kubek leading off, and he looks around, and he steps in the batter's box, and he hits first or second pitch, I can't remember which, but into center field. And it's about as routine as you can play. In fact, I hardly moved for the ball. It was just catch the ball.
Yeah.
Because if it comes down, you're out. Because it was so routine. In fact, the next batter up is Bobby Richardson. Bobby, a very close friend of mine. In fact, when we were playing the Yankees, he'd we'd drive back from Dodger Stadium to my house. He'd stay all night with me, and then we'd go back in together. He'd go into the Yankee locker room, and I'd go into LA Angel locker room. But anyway, he was hitting second. The third batter up was Mickey Mantle. And then they had Bill Yogi, and then Bill Skowron, and anyway, Hank Bauer, pretty good lineup. So Kubek is out, and Richardson comes to plate, does a little checking around. He hit the third pitch, fourth pitch into center field, and again, I did not move that much to catch both balls. Third batter up is Mickey, and Mickey runs the count a little bit and hits a ball into center field. And boy, he just missed it, because if he was that much down on the barrel, I mean, it's still going. But he missed it, and a real high fly. And I'm just standing there waiting for it to come down. And if it comes down, he's going to be out, you know. So
Yeah.
first three batters up for the Yankees. All three players hit the ball into center field to the Washington Senator short center fielder. And we're running by the Yankee dugout, I'm going back in, and Rocky it makes a little circle from our dugout around the front of the Yankee dugout. And he said to him, "Hey," he said, "I bet you guys didn't think we had anybody out there, did you?" Nobody in center field. Because he said, "Well, the grass is high," but that was the joke. And
that was pretty good.
it was good because
That's pretty
they
good.
flied
Now,
out to the guy in center field, and they thought nobody was there. Anyway, the grass was pretty high.
yeah, that's pretty good. Mike Long, he's watching tonight. He says, "Great interview, guys." And John Holder, he said he could listen to your stories all night. So everybody's loving your stories on here tonight. Now, you was a 58 Rookie of the Year. You played in the All-Star game in 63. Compared those two to each other, what or anything else you've done, what would you say would be your most memorable moment when you played either for Washington Senators or the Angels? What's your most memorable moment that when you played baseball?
Well, you know, it probably is because probably other than the 63 All-Star game, which I started, it was in Cleveland, by the way. We played in the old Brown Stadium. They still play football there, I think. Don't they? I think they do.
I think they built a new stadium, didn't they, in Cleveland? They may have built a new stadium. I can't remember.
Well, this place said about 80,000, and we had 47,000 in the All-Star game there. It looked like there was nobody there, but probably the All-Star game. And one of the plays that it was in 63. You might look online and see the game. I think I scored a run there, but one of the plays, I didn't lead off that day. Nellie Fox led off. Nellie, the second baseman from Chicago, and the manager for the Yankees thought I'd be good because I could pull the ball pretty good and go ahead and the hit behind him. And I remember in the game, I got a couple of hits, I think, shingle double, but we were playing, Willie was playing in this, and inside the ballpark was a fence. The stadium was so big, but they had a fence, a normal sized ballpark, and Willie Mays is playing center, and I come up to the plate, and I think it was Jackson was pitching, but he got a ball out over the plate, and I just hammered it into left center, and Nellie's running, and Willie made a play like amazing play. He went after the ball. He couldn't come up with it. It was a 2-base hit easy, but his foot slipped underneath the fence, and he couldn't get it out to make a decent throw. So from his knees, and his foot's caught under the fence, he throws a rocket to the shortstop. Who was it at the time? Dick Grote, maybe? But he throws a strike and stops Nellie from scoring. I get 2-base hit, and but it's one of the best plays I ever saw. On his knees, stuck underneath the fence, throws a rocket. That play was really something. And but playing the All-Star game was probably number one. And then probably in 62, we were a fledgling team. We were in our second year of baseball. And we went into Yankee Stadium, and we played the Yankees, and we beat them, and we were in first place late in September. And fighting the great champions, that was really fun. Yeah. But of interest to that, they won, I think, the last, you'll have to check this out. I think they won the last 12 straight or something. And we split them all, so they beat us pretty good. But oh, it was fun. We came home from the airport. We landed in L.A. It was dawn, um, and we
Yeah, I know. I also saw on Sports Illustrated where your picture, you actually made the cover of Sports Illustrated one time.
I don't know. I can't remember. I do know that that Life magazine. I had a they uh, they did have a shot of the sudden death playoff I had down there against uh, the Philly pitcher, and the wind was blowing, and I hit a 2-iron in there about 8 feet from the hole, won a sudden death playoff, and that's in that is also in 58 magazine. And anyway, I guess probably the time when we were hey, the Yankees could not beat us in Dodger Stadium. They didn't, but we'd go to New York and they just hammer us anyway.
Yeah.
That's maybe one of the things.
So did you played for Washington Senators, you played for the LA Angels. Did you also play for Baltimore?
I did. I played Baltimore. I was 59, but I had an injury, and I was sent out. Uh, I had a terrible second year. I'd gone to Cuba, and I had caught a bug, and my weight went to 129 pounds. And I got back to play in the regular season, and they were just knocking a bat on my hand, and I was sick and weak, and
Yeah.
and they traded me. They traded me for Lenny Green, and I ended up with the Orioles. And then my back injury, and I was out for a couple of 3 months down in Florida, and that was a very downside and dip, and I had to suck it up that time. And I needed a lot. I needed help. I needed God's help inside because I was just defeated because I lost my job, I lost everything, and anyway. But the
When you
first game
first
with
signed, when you first signed for Washington Senators, you didn't sign a big $1 trillion contract or anything, did
There's a
you?
little story in that one too. You brought it up. I had been rookie of the year and had a good year, and you had at that time you had no management, nobody to go in. You go in and you dicker around, but you'd end up getting whatever the when. So I went in to sign my contract after the rookie of the year, and I go in with Calvin Griffith, and Calvin uh, he was he went on to the Twins, and they had much success. They were in the World Series, but I in 58 I go in early 59, and I sit down with him. I said, he said, Albie, we're here to offer you a $4,000 raise. You're a rookie of the year. You played good. You're the best rookie in the league, and you're making 7,000. So we're going to offer you 11. And I said, well, Mr. Griffith, I said I was the best rookie in the league, and I really had in mind to get 12. And he said, Albie, he said, I tell you what, we finished last with you. I know you're rookie of the year, but we could finish last without you too.
Uh-huh.
He said it's 11,000, and so I signed my contract for 11,000.
Exactly. Mike Long, he said the only hitter in the 63 All-Star game with an extra base hit. I guess, is he talking about you?
Yeah, I did get
Gotcha.
an extra base, but that was a pitcher's. Yeah, we lost that game 5-3, but Willie's play really broke everything up. The play he made.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, we lost. Yeah, I got a single and a double in the late game, I think. But everything else was singles on both sides.
That's pretty good. And when you did sign to play your first year at Washington Senators, was it like $255 and a couple pairs of spikes?
The amount of money.
Yeah, it was like I read
Oh,
someplace where it's like
when I signed with professionally with the Red Sox, they said that I asked for a bonus, and the scout said, "Albie, have you looked in the mirror?" And I said, "Well, yes, sir." And I had my football jersey on. I had the sleeves pushed up. I weighed about 132, and I had my sleeves pushed up, and I had at that time my shoes. I had 2-inch heels on them, and his name was Tom Downey, and he came over to the house. I was 18, and he said, "Albie," he said, "we're prepared to give you a contract um, to go out and play for the Boston Red Sox minor leagues." He says, we'll send you up to the San Jose Red Sox in the California League. We'll pay you $225 a month." And I said, "Mr. Downey," I said, "is there any way?" Because my family, we didn't have a whole lot at the time, and I said, "I could sure use a bonus." And he said, "Albie, look in the mirror." And I said, I have. And he says, "You know what? If I gave you a bonus, they would fire me." And I just couldn't believe what I was hearing.
Yeah.
And well, I was five. I'd grown about a half inch from that. So I was 5'4.5", I guess, maybe at the time, and weighed 132. But then he says, "I can't give you a bonus, but I tell you what, I'll give you $225 a month, and I'll buy you 2 pairs of baseball shoes," because I had worn my shoes out in my high school, because they were worn out because I pitched, and I wore out that I dragged my toe, and my clips were. I mean, I had 1 pair, and I'd played Legion ball and semi-pro and high school ball. I played 75 or 80 games on those 1 pair of shoes, and they were worn out. He said, "I tell you what, I'll get you 2 pair of shoes. Do you have a suitcase?" And I said, "No, sir." He says, "I'll get you a suitcase, 2 pair of baseball shoes, and $225 a month. Take it or leave it."
Wow. But you've done a lot of incredible things. I mean, just thinking about the stories with Ted Williams, being interviewed by Jackie Robinson, escorting Marilyn Monroe on the field, 58 Rookie of the Year, 63 All-Star game. I mean, playing for the Washington Senators. I don't know anybody played for the Washington Senators, but I know you now thanks to Mike and Allie Doral, which that's our mutual friend. So thankful they hooked us up here. But it's been a pleasure to talk to you. I don't want to keep you on here all night. I will ask you one more thing though. But the days when you played and baseball today, what are some of the big differences?
I will answer that. First of all, the kids today are bigger, stronger, faster, and they are, to compare my era with this era, obviously, I believe that I could have played today, but we were in an era where we had no weights. We were told to not use weights in the upper body because you could get tied up and couldn't able to handle the ball in the inside of the strike inside, and they're just, the kids are, and they've learned from all of our. They have machines. They have all kinds of stuff. The technology is an amazing. Like I say, the only technology I had was when I was watching a pitcher trying to see where his little habits might be. I looked through the hole of my baseball cap, and I isolated the pitcher with my baseball cap, trying to figure out how I could beat him stealing a base. Today, you don't have to. You just go in back of your dugout, and there's technology, and you know exactly. You can break him down. You can break even the timing. And the kids, because of the workouts, my gosh, the kids are so strong today. And but I tell you one thing that I might say from my era: the kids are bigger, stronger, and better than we were. But the hearts that we played in they're not any bigger.
Yeah.
I believe my era had the big time Hearts players.
Yeah.
And they were hard nosed. They played hard, and they played with some of the helmet itself has brought a little more hanging in there today. We had to hang in there when I can remember playing my first year with uh, the piece in my hat. Instead of putting in the back where it should be for a helmet, I put it in the front because it made my hat look better.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I will say, when you guys played, my biggest difference, what I have seen, is now it's more about money. When you all played, it was more about the love of the game.
Well, I can't answer for the guys, but I do know
Mhm.
one thing. I'd have played for nothing if they'd have paid my bills.
Yeah,
Nothing.
exactly.
I love that game, and nothing was going to scare me out of any competition.
Yeah,
And some of the biggest hearts. Of course, I don't know this era other than Mike Trout. I think he's
yeah,
epitome of the great player.
yeah,
Not only is he on the field, but he's a special dude inside.
yeah, exactly. And I sure appreciate you coming on here tonight, Albie. It's been an honor. It's an honor to know you. And I will say one more thing, if you don't care. Richard Bingle, he was the one that he played in '61 for the St. Louis Cardinals minor league organization, and he got to bring home. Well, he didn't bring home. They had the hand-me-down uniforms in, and he had Bob Gibson's uniform, but he never got to bring it home. But he asked Christian here. Well, he said, really enjoying Albie and the stories. Tell him thanks for sending me an autographed postcard when I was a kid. Some things you never forget.
Well, greet him for me, and you never know how you can bless somebody.
Yes.
And just thank him for me. Thank you, my friend.
Yeah, we appreciate it. And one more thing before you go, I thought this was really cool. We were talking one day, and you said you was in the batting cage, and it always pays to have a good roommate, especially one like the Big Clue that was there to have your back.
There he is. There's Big Clue. I got to get this squared away. There he is.
Yeah.
The story is a true story, but it was so much fun. And it'll take just a couple more minutes. We're
Okay.
playing the Cleveland Indians in our first year of the Angels, 1961. And of course, Clue's my roommate, but we're at home. We're in old Wrigley Field, LA. That's where we started. And we're taking our batting practice, and Clue is leaning up along with Eddie Yost and myself, and let's see who else was. I think Leon Cheeky Wagner was playing, and Clue was on just leaning on the not close enough to get himself hit with the ball, but he had his and Willie Kirkland. Willie was a Cleveland Indian at the time. He went over to the Giants. He's a very good player, and he had a perfect body. Never did an exercise. He was ripped. He was about 6'1", 6'2", maybe 205 or something. And Ted's leaning on the cage, waiting for me to hit and his turn. And Willie comes over from the Cleveland Indian dugout, and he walks over to the cage, and he's watching. He said, "Hey, little man," he said, "if I might have a hankering when you come out of that cage to rip your head right off your shoulders." And I'm hearing it, but I'm concentrating. And Teddy takes his arm and he puts it over. I hope you can. Oh, you can't see it. He puts his arm over Willie, and he said, "Willie," he says, "you're talking to my roommate." And he says, "if you mess with him, you'll have to mess with me." And Willie, listen. And he's smiling, he's got his arm around. He said, "Willie, this tree has never been cut down."
I love it.
And Willie backed off, and we kind of giggled and laughed because it was a real jokey thing. But Ted didn't smile. That's right. He didn't smile. He just gave that look. That was Teddy Klaczewski,
Oh
one
my
of the
God.
one of the best guys you'll ever know.
I love it. And Albie, if you don't care, maybe, sometime we're going to stop these interviews when baseball season starts, but then I'm going to do maybe a second season when after baseball season. If you don't care, maybe if you feel like it, everything's going good, maybe this fall you'll come back on because everybody loves these stories.
Oh, Fiery Irie. I wish I don't know if you had the stuff of Bob Gibson, but you got a great name, Fiery Irie.
There you go. And coming from you, I sure appreciate it. And I will end this. God bless you, Albie. Thanks for everything that you do. And I will be calling you probably sometime this week to bug you a little bit more.
Let's do it, and I'll be happy to serve you or bless any way I can if you want to get back to me.
Okay, I sure will. And I'll be in touch. Thanks a lot, Albie, for everything.
And remember, God loves you.
Yes, I
Bye.
sure do. And take care, Albie. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.